Welcome to the SEC Unfiltered channel. In this Wednesday night SEC basketball reaction, again coming at you very early on Thursday morning, but reacting to all three of last night's matchups. I mean, three pretty solid, I wouldn't say games, but three interesting storylines from each. I mean, again, I think Florida, we'll talk about it right off the bat, clinching a 1 seed, I think, along with Auburn. I think you'd have Auburn, Duke, Houston, and Florida. I think those will be the four right now. Tennessee didn't help themselves last night after the big win against Alabama. Goes and drops one on the road against Ole Miss. No shame, not a bad loss. Ole Miss is a solid basketball team, well coached. Just came down to the buzzer. Igor Milicic's last second shot just didn't fall. And then Missouri, kind of a no-show. Not kind of, they were a no-show in Norman in the bubble, just like the Undertaker every time, folks. Just when you think you got them dead, they come up and they totally surprise you. And every bubble team kind of had their big win, their big loss within like 2 to 3 games of each other. So let's get right into it. But guys, this reaction is brought to you by our buddies over, our proud title sponsored buddies from FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $150 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet, folks. Let's get right to it, though. Florida getting a 99-94 win over Alabama. Alabama drops to 23-7, 12-5. Florida improves to 26-4, 13-4. Florida, first time they've been healthy all year. Everybody, Condon, Handel-Godden, you had Elijah Martin had a little bit shoulder injury banged up, but he came back and played the rest of the night, played well. I mean, Alex Condon was a total beast, 27 points. Mark Sears, his senior night game, unfortunately, he goes out with a loss, but he finished with 30 points. I think he played well. Bama shoots 47% from the field, 36% from beyond the arc. Florida shoots 48% from the field, 29% from beyond the arc. Florida shot about 4 more free throws, 29-25. This is where it kind of gets interesting. This is where the game was won. Florida dominated on the boards, folks. And Alabama's a good rebounding team. I think it's one of the more consistent things they've done all year. Again, they hadn't always shot the ball from beyond the arc well. They turned the basketball over. They haven't defended well. They shot free throws well. Haven't been great at the rim at times. Rebounding is what they've been consistent at, but Florida, man, they challenged their manhood. Florida won the rebounding advantage, 50-35. Points in the paint, 52-48. That's way too many points in the paint. Florida, man, they're a monster. They're a monster when they're healthy. Them and Auburn, I think, have kind of established themselves as Auburn, then Florida. Then I think a little bit of a gap. Call me crazy. It's not a big one, folks. It's not a big gap, but I think there's a slight gap. And then I think you got Alabama, Tennessee, Missouri in that kind of category next. I think that's fair heading into the last weekend of the regular season. Let's go to the box score real fast. For Florida, I mean, Alex Condon, a beast, 27 points, 9 for 16 from the field, 2 for 4 from beyond the arc. 22 points for Walter Clayton, 8 for 20, 2 for 8 from around there. Not the most efficient night, but still getting his. On the rebounding side of things, I mean, Ruben Chinyelu, I think, was big, had some nice putbacks, had some nice offensive rebounds. Bama's initial defense, I don't think, was bad. I know everybody's going to see the box score and see 99 points, but it was the rebounding and giving Florida second opportunities. And as we know, Florida's too good of a basketball team. They're too good of an offensive basketball team to give them second, third chances from that perspective. Thomas Houck, I thought, was good, 12 points. He came in, had 3 rebounds overall. For Alabama, I mean, again, I don't think Alabama's playing bad. Even against Tennessee, I thought it was one of their more well-rounded games, except for the last 35 seconds. And they were up 5 late in the first half in this game and let Florida go on like a 6-0 run in the half to take a 1-point lead. And Bama got a lead in the second half, but Florida's just better, especially when they're healthy. It's a deeper team. They're more physical. And that's where I think Alabama lacks against the better teams in the league, Auburn, Florida, Tennessee. From a physicality standpoint, even throw Missouri when they played. Bama hasn't brought that intensity. They do lack this. It's a very high-skilled, talented basketball team, but it lacks some of that toughness, especially in the front court. I'm looking at you, Clifford Amori. I'm looking at you, Grant Nelson, who hasn't been 100%. Mo Diabate, I mean, he's in Ramadan right now, but he played one of his better games of his career against Grand Canyon last year in the NCAA tournament off Ramadan. But for Alabama, Mark Sears leads them with 30. LeBaron Filan with 19. Grant Nelson had 10. Clifford Amori with 11. LeBaron, like I said, LeBaron Filan's starting to come on. Him starting, taking over that point role, that could help Bama get on a long march run. I can see Bama making a march run, a deep march run. I'll take them off the national title, true national title contenders list. I think they can definitely make the Final Four. Bama's going to be real matchup oriented. I just don't see them winning 6 games when they have stuff like turnovers, defense, lack of shooting from beyond the arc, free throws at times, could rear its ugly head in a 6-game tournament that it's single elimination. So I think they can get to the Final Four, certainly. I'm going to take them off the national championship line right now, and I probably will going into the tournament because they got 2 guaranteed games left until the NCAA tournament starts. But what's next for Florida? They go back home and host Ole Miss. I think they've locked in the 2nd seed. They've locked in the 2nd seed from the NCAA tournament, especially with Tennessee losing last night. Remember, Florida and Tennessee split their season series. Alabama heads to Auburn, again, trying to avoid a 3-game skid, losing at Tennessee, Florida, as we're talking about, and then at Auburn on Saturdays. That'll be a tough one. Auburn's already locked up the league. Bama playing, I think if Bama wins on Saturday, they will be the 3rd seed in Nashville for the SEC tournament. If they lose and Tennessee beats South Carolina at home, Tennessee would be the 3rd. Alabama would be 4th. With Missouri losing, Alabama locked up a double bye and a top 4 seed in the SEC tournament. But Florida gets the 99-94 probably game of the day in college basketball from what's on the line. Loser, I said going into it's off the 1 seed line. Alabama, I think, is pretty locked into a 2 seed from an NCAA tournament. I think Florida now, especially when you factor in Tennessee losing last night, I think they will be the 1 seed. I think they'll be 2 of the 4 SEC 1 seeds. Like I say, I think it's Auburn, Duke, Houston, in Florida. Let's go to Oxford, though. Ole Miss getting the 78-76 win. Igor Milicic's layup, point-blank range. Bunny just doesn't fall for Tennessee at the very end there. Ole Miss shot 45% from the field, 26% from beyond the arc, 46% from the field for Tennessee, 38% from beyond the arc. I didn't think Tennessee played that bad, but they dropped to 24-6, 11-6 in league play. Ole Miss 21-9, 10-7 now in league play. Free throws about the same. Tennessee shot 3 more. That's interesting. The first 2 teams we talked, first out of the 2 of the 3 games we're talking about today, the visiting team shot more free throws. Turnovers weren't bad for either team. Tennessee had 8. Ole Miss only had 5. That's winning basketball there. Points in the paint. Ole Miss 46-20. That's where that game was won. Ole Miss did a really good job of playing well in the paint against a physical team. I always tell you, when Jermaine Brakefield and Matthew Morrell are playing well, Ole Miss is going to be a tough team to beat because Sean Padula is very consistent. I think you're always going to have a guy like Malik Dia, Dre Davis, Juju Murray, someone like them for that to step up for Ole Miss. I mean, yesterday, Brakefield goes for 19 off the bench, Matthew Morrell 12. It's an efficient night for both of them, and I think they're 2 of your better players. Padula only was 7, and he's usually your most consistent guy. You also had Dre Davis going for 13. He was big in the domination of the paint against Tennessee. Ole Miss, massive win. You needed it to improve in the SEC standings, get off that 8-9 line. I don't think they were there yet. They were on that 7 seed line, but they were flirting getting that 8-9 matchup. If Ole Miss is a 7 seed, it is wild to say all these 7, 8, 9 teams you see, like Creighton, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, UConn. It's like, man, what 1 seed wants to see them on Saturday or Sunday in the second round of the NCAA tournament? Let's call a spade on that. Matthew Morrell, again, it's always big when him and Brakefield can step up. They played a lot of college basketball. They're the veterans on this team. I like the pieces Ole Miss had. I think they're going to be very well coached with Chris Beard, Mark Adams. I'm telling you, some people call me crazy. It would not shock me if Ole Miss is a second weekend team. For Tennessee, 17 points led by Jordan Gainey off the bench. It's back-to-back games for Jordan Gainey. When Zakai Ziegler went out with 2,000 the first half against Alabama, Jordan Gainey step up. Had a big and 1 in the half that I think kind of flipped the momentum in that game. Bama was up 7, cut it to 4 with that. But Gainey's been playing well the last 2 nights. I think Darlington Dubar has played well the last few nights off the bench. So Tennessee's getting a little more off their bench. Not totally disappointed in this loss. I mean, Tennessee got the lead up to 9 at one point. They were up 5 at half. Tennessee played well enough to win this game. It's just on the road in the SEC against other NCAA tournament caliber teams. Ole Miss is a good basketball team, especially when Brakefield and Morrell are playing well. Felix Okapara, 13 points. Zakai Ziegler with 8, 9 for Igor Milicic. Chaz Lanier, 15. Again, not disappointed in Tennessee's performance. It's not the result they wanted. They could have locked up the 3rd seed. They probably didn't even really know that going into it. But now, what's next? I mean, for Ole Miss, they travel to Florida. Ole Miss is sitting there now trying to just kind of improve their seed in the NCAA tournament. Yeah, that's really what they're trying to do right now. I mean, pulling it up now, the standings. You got Ole Miss now sitting at 10-7, tied with Missouri. So, I mean, technically, Ole Miss could still get – I'd have to go look at the tiebreakers, but if Tennessee were to lose at home to South Carolina, which I don't think they would, and Ole Miss win at Florida, which I don't think is going to happen probably. There's a way Ole Miss being a tiebreaker for the 4th spot, but no, Ole Miss is really probably going to be anywhere in that. I think Ole Miss will be in that 6 to 8 range, probably in the standings. Because I think they're going to lose to Florida. I hate saying that, but I think they will. They'll probably be in that, probably closer to 7 or 8 seeding in the SEC tournament. Last night really helped them probably get off that 8-9 seed from an NCAA tournament standpoint. But they do go to Florida. Tough game to finish the year for the trip to Nashville. Then Tennessee dropped to 11-6. That was a big one because they could have tied Bama. They would have had the tiebreaker. Bama goes to Auburn. Tennessee hosts South Carolina. If Tennessee wins last night, Tennessee's going to get the 3 seed. They didn't. Now, the 3 seed, 4 seed conversation is going to come down to Saturday. If Tennessee beats South Carolina and Auburn beats Alabama, Tennessee's a 3 seed. If Alabama beats Auburn, it doesn't matter what Tennessee does. Alabama would still be a game ahead of Tennessee. Alabama would still be a game ahead of Tennessee at 12-5, or at that point, 13-5, compared to no matter what Tennessee has. They already have 6 losses in the standing. So again, big picture, yeah, it probably takes Tennessee off the 1 seed line because I think what Florida getting a road win at Alabama did last night. Big picture, probably not that big of a deal from a standings perspective. Getting a 3rd seed, it was. So, but a massive win for Ole Miss. More of a bigger win for Ole Miss than a bigger loss. Again, I think it's fair too. Tennessee lost the 1 seed. Dropped in the SEC standings, had a chance to lock up the 3 seed. But you're both weighing them. And I think Ole Miss's win is probably a little bigger. Again, I didn't think Tennessee played that bad, folks. I know me ranking Tennessee probably 4th in my power rankings. Tennessee fans think I don't like Tennessee, but I actually love what Rick Barnes does. Well-disciplined team. But I didn't think they played bad last night. I thought Ole Miss just played well, and they were the home team, and just came down to a point-blank range layup that Igor Milicic couldn't convert on. But part of the bigger surprise of the night, Oklahoma getting a 96-84 win over Missouri. Missouri just has opportunities with Alabama losing some games, Tennessee losing some games, and just can't take advantage of it. Back-to-back, lose at Vanderbilt when they controlled a lot of that game. They go on the road, kind of no-show. They were down 13-50 to 37 at half. I think Oklahoma led majority of this. This was weird. This game was on ESPN+. Yeah, I mean, the biggest lead Missouri had was 2. The biggest lead Oklahoma had was 18. I mean, Oklahoma controlled it from the start, 57% from the field, 41% from beyond the arc, 46% from the field, 29% from beyond the arc. Free throws, only 26 for Oklahoma, 24 for Missouri. Total turnovers, 10-9, wasn't terrible. Points in the paint, 48-34, advantage for Oklahoma. You don't see that a lot against them in the paint. I mean, it's really just Sam Godwin, and that's really in Muhammad Wagi. It's it. So it was a little shocking there. I need to really go back and watch these. I'm actually intrigued to see how this actually all happened. Because again, when this game was on ESPN+, I watched some of it, but it was just kind of like, Missouri will fight back, and you kept being like, no, Oklahoma's going to go carry this away. And again, this had big implications in the final. Again, Missouri losing this locked Alabama into a top 4 seed off a loss, getting the double bye. I mean, Missouri's really dropped the ball here recently when they kind of had some chances to take advantage, move up in the standings. For Oklahoma, 31 points, Jeremiah Fears, locking back into non-conference Jeremiah Fears there. 12 points for Sam Godwin, 12 for Jalen Moore, 12 for Muhammad Wagi off the bench, probably his best game, 5 boards, 12 points, 5 boards for Muhammad Wagi off the bench. That's a big time for Porter Moser and them. Oklahoma improves to 18-12, 5-12, 5-12. I think they still need to go. They need to go win at Texas on Saturday and probably get a win in Nashville. I don't think they're there yet. I think they need to go get 2 more wins. For Missouri, probably your disappointing loss of the season. 18 for Mark Mitchell. Your other starter didn't give you much. Anthony Robinson with 2, Trent Pierce with 5. Mark Mitchell, like I mentioned, with 18. You got 7 from Tamar Bates. Tony Perkins, 5. Josh Gray with 5. Marquise Warwick with 10. And Caleb Grill, who I think is going to be the 6th man of the year, coming off with 16, 4 for 11. Just real bad performance. I mean, what was the overall rebounds? 29-29, pretty even there. But what's next for the Oklahoma Sooners? They will travel to Texas next to finish off the season. Again, I do want to say Oklahoma, they got to get 2. I'm not ready to say off 1 big win. I think in college basketball at times we overact to 1 big win. They're up to 50 in that now. You got to get in the top 40. So I think they have some things they got to improve on. They need to win at Texas, and I think go win a game, maybe 2. Because, again, you needed to get to 7 conference wins in the regular season. They just got to 5 with that win, folks. They just got to 5. So let's let that marinate. They're now 5-12. They need to win at Texas, probably get a game or 2 in Nashville. We'll know those matchups on Saturday night. For Missouri, tough. tough. You keep hurting yourself in the SEC standings. Legitimately could have finished in the top 4 if you probably split the Vanderbilt-Oklahoma games. You lost both. They play host Kentucky on Saturday morning, so that'll be an interesting one, again, from a total standings perspective. But before we get out of here, folks, let's look at the SEC basketball standings real fast. Pulling it up for you. Share the screen. Yep, there we go. You can see, so Auburn obviously clinched at 15-2. Florida now at 13-4. They have clinched the 2 seed. Florida, I think Auburn and Florida, I think, kind of separated themselves as we've seen over this 18-game conference schedule. I think it's Auburn, Florida, 1A, 1B, especially with how healthy Florida is for the first time all year. Alabama at 12-5, sitting at 3rd. Tennessee sitting at 11-6. Remember, if Alabama wins at Auburn, they clinch the 3rd seed. If they lose and Tennessee beats South Carolina at home, Tennessee will be the 3rd seed. That's what it will come to, what Alabama does against Auburn. Texas A&M tied with Missouri and Ole Miss at 10-7. Kentucky sitting there, Han Solo at 9-8. Missouri, Mississippi State and Vanderbilt tied at 8-9. Arkansas and Georgia tied at 7-10. Texas 6-11. Oklahoma now 5-12. LSU 3-14. South Carolina 2-15. So we got a lot to shake out. No SEC champion to crown. We already know that. I'm sure Auburn will probably cut down the nets if they beat Alabama on Saturday there. Just kind of the big other storyline, who gets the 3 seed, Alabama or Tennessee, comes down to the Alabama-Auburn game. And then kind of shaking out, like I said, the 6 through 10 spots will be interesting from that perspective, folks. But before we get out of here, guys, remember, FanDuel, when the game tips off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Remember, FanDuel is your home for NBA live betting. So even if you miss the first few minutes of the game or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can make your picks from the first whistle until the final buzzer. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join. New FanDuel customers get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today. That's FanDuel.com/SECU for your chance at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and present in select states. For Kansas and affiliation with the Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and older and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. For $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York, folks. But I appreciate y'all joining me on this SEC basketball reaction. We learned a lot, guys. Florida locking in a 1 seed. Bama, Tennessee, who wins the 3 seed? That'll come down to Saturday. Ole Miss, massive win in Missouri. What the heck happened, fellas? What the heck happened? Oklahoma, you still got some business to take care of. But for Dave Shumate, I appreciate you joining me on this SEC basketball reaction. I will see you on Saturday, folks.